The stars were bright, but the sky looked strange to Mark. His small ship was damaged badly in the crash. He sat in the pilot's seat, breathing hard. The alarms had stopped, but the silence was heavy. The crash had thrown him far away from Earth, to a place no human had ever been. Mark checked his gear quickly. The ship was broken beyond repair. There was no way to call for help. He looked outside. The ground was rocky and covered with blue plants that glowed faintly in the dark. The air was different. He could breathe it, but it smelled strange. This was an alien world and he was alone. He stepped out carefully, his boots made soft. Sounds on the ground. The wind whispered through the tall plants. Mark's heart beat faster. He had trained for danger many times, but now everything was real. Suddenly, he saw light ahead. Soft golden glow came from behind a hill. Curious, but cautious, Mark walked toward the light. The closer he got, the warmer the light felt. Then, he saw her. She was standing by a small pool of water. Her skin was pale blue, and her hair shone like silver threads in the moonlight. Her eyes were large and dark, full of unknown emotions. She wore clothes made of delicate fabric that moved like water in the wind. She was beautiful and strange, an alien princess. Mark stopped. He wanted to speak, but words felt useless. She looked at him calmly, her gaze steady but kind. For a moment, neither of them moved. "Who are you?" she asked in a soft voice, her English clear but with a gentle accent. "I'm Mark," he said slowly. "I'm from Earth." She nodded, as if she understood. "I am Leora, daughter of this world's ruler." Mark noticed the pride in her voice, but also a sadness. "I crashed here. My ship is broken." Leora stepped closer, curious. "You are far from home. This place is dangerous for humans." Mark smiled weakly. "I don't have a choice. I have to find help or fix my ship." Leora looked at him carefully. Then, without warning, she took his hand and led him to her home, a tall tower made of smooth stone, glowing softly in the dark. Inside, the walls were covered with strange symbols and glowing crystals. Mark felt out of place but safe. Leora's people were watching quietly. From shadows, their eyes sharp and alert, they whispered in their language. Mark could not understand, but he felt their suspicion. Leora noticed his nervousness. "Do not fear," she said softly. "You are my guest." They sat by a fire that gave warm light. Leora poured a strange drink from a glass that shimmered. With colors, Mark tasted it sweet but unfamiliar. They talked quietly about their worlds. Mark told her about Earth, blue skies, oceans, cities full of people. Leora spoke about her planet with floating mountains and creatures that could change shape. As the night grew deeper, Mark noticed how Leora looked at him. There was something more than curiosity in her eyes. She seemed lonely, as if she wanted to understand something about him, or maybe herself. Finally, she asked him a question that surprised him. "Mark, do you love me?" Mark blinked. The question was simple but heavy. He looked at her face, serious, open, waiting for an answer. He thought for a moment. What could he say? He barely knew her, yet she asked about love, a feeling so deep and confusing. I don't know, Mark said honestly. "Love is not simple for humans either, but I care about you. I want to protect you." Leora's eyes widened. She was silent for a moment. Then she smiled, a small, strange smile. "You speak like a human, but you also see with a new heart," she said softly. Mark felt hope. Maybe this strange alien princess could understand him, even if their worlds were so different. Suddenly, loud noises came from outside. Guards rushed into the room, "Your Highness." "Trouble at the gates." Leora stood quickly, her calm replaced by fierce strength. "Mark, stay here. I will handle this." Mark wanted to help but did not know how. He watched as Leora moved like a warrior, commanding her people with authority and grace. The fight outside was brief but intense. Shadows moved quickly in the dark. When it ended, Leora returned, breathing hard but victorious. "Enemies want to use you, Mark. They fear what you bring," she said quietly. Mark nodded. "Then I will stay with you." Together, we can face anything. Leora looked at him with new respect. Perhaps this meeting was not by chance. That night, Mark slept by the fire, the glow of the crystals casting strange patterns on the walls. Outside, the alien world was quiet again, but something had changed. In the morning, Leora came to him with a new question, one that would change everything, Mark. If I asked you again, would you say you love me? Mark smiled. Maybe now. I would. The sun rose over the alien planet, painting the sky in soft pink and orange colors. Mark woke to the strange sounds of the forest outside the tower. Birds with bright feathers sang songs he could not understand. The air smelled fresh but strange. A mix of flowers and something sharp. Leora was already awake. She stood by the window, looking out. When she turned, her face was calm but thoughtful. "Good morning, Mark," she said quietly. "Good morning," Leora. Mark replied, sitting up. "Did you sleep well?" She smiled faintly. "I sleep well when I know my people are safe, and when I feel ... something new." Mark remembered her question from the night before. "Do you love me?" It stayed in his mind like a puzzle he wanted to solve. Leora stepped closer. "Tell me, Mark, what does love mean to humans? To you?" Mark thought about it. On Earth, love had many meanings. Family love, friendship, romantic love. Sometimes it was simple, other times it was confusing. "Love is many things," Mark said slowly. "It is care, respect, trust. It is wanting to protect someone even if it is hard. It is feeling happy and safe with someone else." Leora listened carefully. "On my world, love is tradition and duty. It is loyalty to family and throne. To love is to follow rules." Mark frowned. "That sounds very different from Earth." As Leora said, "We do not choose who to love. Our love is given by fate and law." Mark looked at her. "And what if you want to choose? What if you want to love freely?" Leora's eyes softened. "That is what scares me." They walked through the tower's halls. The walls were covered with tapestries showing the history of Leora's people, great battles, ancient kings and queens who ruled with power. Mark saw the weight of history in every step Leora took. Later, Mark met some of her people. They looked at him with suspicion, whispering in their language. One man, tall and stern, approached. "You are an outsider," he said coldly. "Should we trust you?" Mark smiled calmly. "I want to help. I do not want to fight." The man's eyes narrowed. Help or control? Mark shook his head. "No control, just friendship." Leora watched quietly. "Trust must be earned," she said softly. Days passed. Mark helped with small tasks, repairing simple machines, learning the alien language, and exploring the strange world. He discovered plants that could heal wounds and animals that glowed in the dark. But the more he learned, the more he realized how different their worlds were. The customs, the rules, the ideas of love and honor, all were new to him. One evening, Leora invited Mark to a special ceremony. It was held outside, under the stars. People dressed in colorful robes gathered around a large fire. They sang songs and told stories from long ago. Mark felt the power of tradition. It was beautiful, but also strict. He noticed how Leora's people looked to her with respect and expectation. After the ceremony, Leora and Mark walked alone. She seemed quiet, her thoughts far away. "Mark," she said slowly, "my people want me to marry a prince from another world. It is an alliance to keep peace." Mark's heart sank. "Do you want to marry him?" Leora shook her head. "No, but I must obey." "What?" Mark took her hand gently. "Maybe you don't have to." Leora looked surprised. "You do not understand. This is our law." Mark smiled softly. "Maybe some laws can change." She looked at him with hope and doubt. "You speak of freedom like it is easy." "It is not easy," Mark said, "but love should be free, not a chain." Leora held his hand tighter. "Your words make me think." Suddenly an alarm sounded. Guards rushed past them. "Enemy ships detected," Leora said, her voice strong again. They come to challenge my rule. Mark stood ready. I'll fight. By your side, Leora smiled. Then prepare. The night will be long. The battle was fierce. Sky lit up with strange weapons and roaring engines. Mark helped where he could, using his skills to repair defenses and support the fighters. Leora led her people with courage and strength. Mark admired her not just as a princess, but as a warrior. After the fight ended, Leora found Mark near the damaged wall. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You stood with us when others doubted." Mark wiped sweat from his brow. "Because I believe in you." Leora looked into his eyes. "And do you still say you love me?" Mark smiled. "Yes, I see now love is more than words or laws. It is choice and courage." Leora's smile was bright and free. "Then perhaps we will change our fate together." Days after the battle, the air on the alien planet felt tense and heavy. Mark woke early, the sounds of the city stirring around him, but peace was fragile. Rumors spread quickly. Not everyone wanted Leora to stay in power. Leora moved through her people with grace and strength. Yet Mark saw worry in her eyes. She was a princess, but also a leader, and leaders faced many dangers. Mark joined her in the council room, a large space with tall windows showing the glowing city. The room was filled with advisors and generals. They spoke in serious voices. "Our enemies grow stronger," said one. "Man, the rival clans gather forces. If we do not act soon, the kingdom will fall." Leora stood tall. "We will defend our home. We will not let fear rule us." Mark looked at her and felt proud. But he also knew the fight was far from over. Outside the council, a group of alien soldiers trained hard. Mark joined them, learning new tactics and weapons. He wanted to be ready to protect Leora and her people. In the evenings, Mark and Leora met in secret. The palace walls were high and watchful. If anyone discovered their closeness, it could mean trouble. One night, under a sky filled with stars, Leora asked again, "Mark, do you love me?" Mark smiled softly. "More each day." She laughed quietly, a sound full of hope and fear. "But do you understand what that means for us?" Mark took her hands. "I want to understand. Teach me." "Look down. Love in my world is not like yours. It is tied to duty, honor, and sacrifice. My people expect me to marry the prince they chose. To keep peace." Mark frowned. "What if the peace they want is a prison for you?" Leora's eyes shone with tears. "That is my fear." Suddenly a messenger arrived. "Princess, the rival clans have sent an envoy. They want to talk peace." Leora's face hardened. "We will meet them, but I do not trust them." Mark nodded. "I'll be by your side." The meeting was held in a grand hall filled with light. The rival leaders were tall, fierce, and proud. They spoke in harsh tones, demanding Leora's surrender. Mark watched as Leora stood firm. "I will never give up my people or my freedom." The leaders laughed, "Then war will follow." After the meeting, Leora was quiet. They do not understand that freedom means more than power. Mark held her hand. "We will show them." Days turned into nights as Mark and Leora planned their defense. They trained harder, built alliances, and prepared for the coming storm. One evening, Mark found Leora looking at an old painting. It showed her ancestors, strong rulers who fought for their land and people. "Do you feel their strength?" Mark asked. Leora nodded. "Yes, they remind me of who I must be." Mark smiled. "And I will be with you." But danger came faster than they expected. The rival clans launched a surprise attack. The city shook with explosions and fire. Mark fought fiercely, saw the bravery in Leora's eyes as she led her people. In the chaos, Mark was separated from Leora. He ran through smoke and debris, calling her name. Finally, they found each other near the palace gates. Leora was hurt but smiling. "I will not fall." Mark helped her stand. "We will win. Together." The battle lasted through the night. When the sun rose, the city was quiet again. Leora looked at Mark. "This war is not just for power. is for the right to choose our own path. Mark nodded. And I will fight for that right with you. As peace returned, Leora took Mark's hand. Now tell me again, do you love me? Mark looked into her eyes full of hope and strength. Yes, Leora, I love you. Not just as a princess, but as the brave woman who fights for her people and her freedom. Leora smiled, her heart light. Then maybe love can change everything. The war was not over. The rival clans had been pushed back for now, but their anger was stronger than ever. Mark and Leora both knew the real test was still ahead. In the large hall of the palace, the mood was tense. Leora stood before her council, her voice steady but full of fire. Our enemies gather once again. This time they bring a new weapon, one that could destroy everything we hold dear. Mark listened carefully. The weapon was a powerful device, capable of wiping out entire cities in seconds. The clans had found it hidden in ancient ruins, and now they plan to use it to end the war quickly. We must stop them, Mark said firmly. If they get this weapon, no one will be safe. Leora nodded. Then we must act first. I will lead a small team to destroy the weapon before they can use it. Mark looked at her with concern. It is too dangerous. Let me go with you. Leora smiled sadly. I cannot risk losing you. Your presence here is important, but I promise I will return. The next day, Leora left with her trusted warriors. Mark stayed behind, helping organize the city's defenses. Every moment felt heavy with fear and hope. The days passed slowly. Mark spent most of his time training soldiers and planning strategies, but his thoughts were always with Leora. One evening, a messenger arrived, breathless and urgent. Princess Leora's team is under attack. They need help. Mark's heart raced. Without wasting time, he gathered a group of fighters and rushed to their aid. They found Leora and her warriors. Surrounded by enemy forces near the ruins, the battle was fierce. Mark fought bravely, his skills sharp and fast. Together they pushed back the attackers, but the weapon was still active. Leora explained, "We must destroy the power core. It is inside the mountain." Mark and a small team entered the dark tunnels leading to the core. The air was thick, and the walls glowed faintly from strange crystals. As they moved deeper, enemy guards appeared, trying to stop them. Mark and his team fought with all their strength. Finally, they reached the power core, a large machine pulsing with dangerous energy. Mark set the explosives carefully, his hands steady despite the fear. "We have little time," Leora said. "We must leave now." They ran through the tunnels as the explosives counted down. The ground shook as the core exploded, sending a bright light through the dark cave. Outside, the enemy forces fled, defeated. The weapon was destroyed. Back in the city, people celebrated.
Leora
Stood on a balcony, looking at her people with pride. Mark joined her. "You did it." Leora smiled. "We did it. Together." Mark took her hand gently. "I have one more question for you." Leora looked at him, curious. "Do you love me?" Mark asked softly. Her eyes shone with tears. To Mark more than I ever thought possible. They stood together, ready to face whatever the future held. Their love was no longer just a question, it was a promise. The war was over. The city that once trembled with fear now pulsed with life and hope. Mark and Leora stood on the highest tower of the palace, looking out at the sunrise. The sky was painted in soft colors, pink, orange, and gold. For the first time in a long time, peace felt real. Leora turned to Mark, her eyes full of warmth. "We have come far, Mark, but our journey is only beginning." Mark smiled. "Yes, together we can face anything." The people of the city began to rebuild. Streets filled with laughter and song. Markets buzzed with traders from distant lands. Children ran freely, their faces bright with joy, but change was not easy. Some still whispered about the princess and the human. Many doubted their bond, their love. One day a council meeting was called. Leaders from all clans gathered, speaking in voices both strong and uncertain. "The princess chose to fight with a human," one elder said. "This is not tradition." Leora stood tall. "Tradition is important, but it should not be a prison. Our future belongs to those who dare to change. Mark spoke calmly. Love is not just a feeling. It is respect, trust, and freedom. It is what makes us stronger. Slowly, the council began to listen.
Oh.
They saw the truth in their words. The future they wanted was not one of fear and control, but one of hope and unity. Days turned into weeks. Leora and Mark worked together to build a new world, one where love could grow free and strong. One evening, under the same stars where their story began, Mark knelt before Leora. From his pocket, took a simple ring made, not of gold, but of the crystals from her world. Leora, he said softly, will you marry me? Not because of duty or tradition, but because I love you. Tears filled Leora's eyes. Yes, Mark, I will. The city celebrated their union with joy. It was a new beginning for the princess, the human, and all their people. Together, they showed that love could break barriers and build bridges, that courage and hope could change the stars, and in the quiet moments when the world was still, Mark and Leora knew one thing for sure: love was the greatest adventure of all.